Orale Raza, G Funky Boxing of ATP, back with another one. This time, Roundtable edition. All right, every Thursday night, you know how we do it. Being joined by Sean Rigo Hicks of Long Live Boxing. Of course, my co-host every Monday night, D-Style Boxing. From the 408, my boy Dave in the house. Joe Habib, the man.
Orale!
Orale 48. Episode
and last
48.
but not least, the maestro of HCP, Maestro for Maestro Boxing. What's going on, guys? You guys ready for this one or what?
Yo, Maestro is inside a pyramid right now to make the show happen. You know what I mean?
Know it, bro.
It's next level.
That Pharaoh level knowledge tonight.
Coming from the depths of the pyramids in Egypt, Maestro.
Do it.
I love it, man. Thanks you guys for all joining us here live. Don't forget to hit that like button. Show support to the Roundtable, the best boxing conversation in YouTube these days. Run PMC in the house. Nando Llamas. Shoeshine doing double duty. DJ Mexicano de Tejas es que pasa. G Funky. What's going on, man? Of course, my boy Stefan, who's always here every show, man. Appreciate all you guys. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Good stuff. We'll be joined by a few other people as well later in the show. But let's start it off. You know, we're all gentlemen here on this panel, right? You know, we're all gentlemen.
Not really. No, I'm
distinguished. You know what I mean?
Well, Eric Lorta's not here, so you know we can be gentlemen tonight, okay?
And scholars, you know, we're gentlemen and scholars, and
definitely a scholar.
Scholar and gentlemen. There you go.
So, in the spirit of being gentlemen, all right, let's start off with the ladies in boxing. I want to get everybody's thoughts on a few things that have happened here recently. We've had Amanda Serrano has signed with Most Valuable Promotions, which is Jake Paul's promotional company.
Oh, yeah.
She says she's excited to announce my signing to Most Valuable Promotions together with Jake Paul will elevate women's boxing. I've always let my in-ring performance speak for itself. Going forward, I'm going to be speaking about it. No more sweet little Serrano. Sincerely, boxing's GOAT. Wow, not only that, she calls herself the GOAT. Maybe taking a shot there at old Clarissa Shields. But this is some news here. Don't know if it's big. Don't know if it's good for women's boxing. But I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic around to the panel. I'm going to start off with you, Sean. What do you think of this news, man?
Well, I think the fact that it is news and, you know, you actually picked it up on ESPN and that they, you know, put it on their platform. It lets you know that it's going to give more of a voice. You started your show off at the Roundtable with it. So it lets you know it's on the top of people's minds and it's, you know, it's something, right? And, you know, you can't knock Serrano for it. The man, Jake Paul, helped her get her biggest payday. And he did acknowledge the fact that he does have a big platform, which he does. So, I mean, it logically makes sense, you know, in regards to, you know, helping her get more visibility and, you know, extend her career and make as much money as she can. I mean, again, at the end of the day, they are prize fighters. So, I mean, I think it's a good move from, you know, all that I see.
All right. My man says it's a good move. D-Style Boxing with a $2 super chat. I appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot. Give me a little fist bump from over there, you know. Chicano Prophet, No Paul, Major Key.
I like how Sean backed up for the fist bump too. He like, you know.
You see that? Hey, he's on his toes, baby. You know, gotta
never know,
head,
man.
You know. So, Dave from the 408, I want to get your opinion on this, man. What do you think about Amanda Serrano signing with Jake Paul?
I got mixed feelings on it, you know. Go back to that whole Trilla thing when it erupted and how people had such high aspirations for that to work out, right? And Jake Paul was part of that. I don't know if he fancies himself as the next Peter Kahn for the sport of boxing. He speaks a lot about MMA fighters not getting their rightful pay. So maybe the intent is there, but how it's actually going to work out as him as a promotional company or if he's acting as a manager, I think the inexperience may actually not help him. Maybe she was better off staying with Ludabella. So I really do at the moment have mixed feelings about that being a smart move. I'll wait and see this one out. But while you're on the subject of women's boxing, what's even more important to me is my homeboy who was on this show, the Roundtable this year, Francisco Esparza, who retired from boxing over a brain scan, somehow has found himself as the trainer to Alma Ibarra, who is now the mandatory for Jessica McCaskill. And just his first fight as a trainer, he's going to be looking at a not unification, but undisputed title shot in women's boxing. So that's really good news. Again, I'm going to wait and see how this pans out for the very talented Serrano sister.
Yes, indeed, man. She's definitely one of the best female fighters in the game right now. Joe Habib, ringside reporter. What do you think of this, man? Amanda Serrano with Jake Paul.
I'm not really crazy about it because Jake Paul really doesn't have that much experience in the sport of boxing. He's still new himself. And, he doesn't have that many connections either, right? He rubs people the wrong way. How's he going to be able to work with other promoters? We already have this issue with promoters not being able to work with each other, right? So it's going to be even worse when you have a guy like Jake Paul who has that personality that, like I said, puts people off. Will these promoters want to deal with him? Because he seems to think that it's easy, right? And he criticizes other promoters and he criticizes Dana White in particular. But Dana White has a successful promotional company, and Jake Paul is just getting into it. So, as successful as the UFC is, and as successful as other promoters have been, for him to just come in there and think that he could just run things and it's going to be easy, we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. If he can get her some fights, then it'll be a good move. If he can't, then he won't be succeeding, right?
Yep. Yeah, man. That's good. All good points I've been hearing so far. Maestro, what are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, first thing, see those hands? Those are workers' hands. Ain't nothing gentleman about me. So I just got to clear the air. I work for what I got. You know what I mean? I'm in a union like Joe. He knows what time it is.
He's over there in the pyramids of Egypt right now, carving out.
But Maestro's tomb rating right now.
as for Jake Paul, look, guys, he's given Amanda Serrano her biggest bag by like a multiple of, I think, at least 10. Before she fought under Jake Paul, she was making about $40,000 a fight. At least that's what she made in the fight before she fought with him. And she made a pretty good mid-six-figure payday fighting under his undercard. So why not do it? As far as Triller and Jake Paul, Triller, he severed his ties with Triller way before all of this foolishness and fuckery started happening with Teofimo Lopez and George Gambosis Jr. I mean, now that fight's been rescheduled a couple of times. So, Triller's awful, but I don't think that should be attributed to Jake Paul. I think that was probably one of their more successful promotions of the ones that they've done. He's moved over to Showtime. Fury, career high payday. Daniel Dubois, career high payday. Amanda Serrano, career high payday. Everybody on that undercard, career high payday. And yeah, he's been trashing MMA for good reason. I started talking about how I'm a worker. Joe, I don't need to go into the whole diatribe I usually go to on about UFC, but I'm siding with Jake Paul on this. UFC's trash. Amanda Serrano's done a good thing. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, let's say Jake Paul doesn't, fulfill all of the dates he's got according to what's been reported with Showtime, I'm sure that she can go back to earning the 5-figure or, paydays she was earning before this. But when you're making 5 figures and then all of a sudden you make mid-6 figures, yeah, you're going to be moving in terms of your promoter.
All right, good stuff, man. D-Style, what are your thoughts on this, man? How do you sip that giant, whatever that is? That beer?
Yes.
It's like a Long Island iced tea.
He's going to be
but check it out, man. Look, it's like this. I get what you're saying, Emil Card. I do, but it's not like he did something to help her profile grow or something that helped her generate more to become a bigger star. He allegedly just, and I believe it because she confirmed it, just gave her charity, just gave her the money. Like, here, I'm going to pay you more. That's what he did. He subsidized her pay.
Mhm.
And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's unfair to say, and I'm not saying you're saying set this in particular, but it's unfair to say, for anyone to say, like, oh, Ludabella didn't give her that money. Well, Ludabella, can't just give her that money, like that. I mean, he just doesn't have that ability. So, look, she's going to go to where obviously she's made the most money ever. But the question now becomes, can Jake Paul run her career in a way that helps her, right? Because 50 Cent came in with a lot of money and wasn't able to help Gumboa much, right? Rock Nation came in. They had a lot of money. They got some paydays, but they never really went anywhere, So I don't know if Jake Paul's promotional company is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future. I don't know if Jake Paul's criticisms of MMA and UFC are genuine, more so than trolling, and trying to portray something, because that's how it comes off to me. He doesn't come off as some genuine guy that's really trying to help the sport. He sounds like an opportunist who is taking up boxing as a hobby. Okay, that's what he is. I mean, let's call it for what it is. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that, but that's what it is. He's not taking a stand, right, for the UFC fighters or anything like that. Okay, he's doing it to, make Dana White look bad, like like to troll him. That's why he's doing it. He's not doing it because he really cares.
I like that. I mean, look, what promoter really cares about his fighters, D-Style? I mean, what's not genuine about putting money in her bank account? I mean, he did that. She said he did that. I'm just going off of what she said.
I get it, but all he did was subsidize.
Okay.
Her pay. That's all he did.
I think
Ludabella didn't.
He didn't raise, but like that's cool. Look, she has a right to go wherever she wants to go, right? Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it's a long-term good plan for her. We don't know yet.
She doesn't need a long-term good plan.
I don't. Yes, she does, because she's not a spring chicken. She's getting up there in age, and I don't know if this gets her any closer to a Katie Taylor fight. I don't know if this gets her any closer to the fights that people want to see her fight.
I agree.
There are criticisms. Well, hold up. I'm talking right now, Maestro. Sit down, Maestro. What type of class is this?
Whoa!
Easy,
Right?
easy, Tiger.
Whoa!
Easy, Tiger.
I was going to finish anyway, but I will say this, okay?
Up their ass.
I wish her the best, all right? But unless he himself signs a bunch of other female fighters, unless he does that, they're going to have a hard time trying to make some fights happen. That's just my opinion. Until proven otherwise, like it's been proven with other promotional companies coming in. He doesn't have an apparatus like Top Rank does, like even like Golden Boy does, or Eddie Hearn, Matchroom does. He doesn't have an apparatus behind him, so a farm system.
What's going to happen if she can't be on his pay-per-views, Maestro? What's going to happen if she can't be on his pay-per-views? Is he going to be able to get her a broadcaster for her fights?
Well, first of all,
you now have my permission to talk, Maestro, while I drink my beer. Go ahead.
All right, thank you.
Good question, though, isn't it?
I'm about to put D-Style on detention in a minute. He better just watch himself.
That's a good question, isn't it, though? What's going to happen if she can't be on her pay-per-views? If she can't be on his pay-per-views, what's going to happen?
To expulsion in a minute, but
what's going to happen, Maestro? Go ahead, Maestro. Tell us, Maestro. What's going to happen?
Please, I need to know. I need to know.
You guys.
You're not answering the question.
Now, I'm going to answer your question. Please. Settle down. And next time, Joe, raise your hand when you're in class.
Please.
Ooh, man. This teacher's got road, bro. You can't talk to students like that.
I already paid for my Trump University. I should get it. Come on.
So look, here's the deal. She's 32 years old. She doesn't need a long-term plan. She needs money in the bank. And he's already proven that he's got what it takes to promote fights. He's got Twitter followers, Instagram followers, YouTube followers, more than probably all of these janky-ass promoters combined. And also, he's got Showtime behind him, which is, by the way, Viacom. Now, check this. She was supposed to be on an
early... make the same argument for Rock Nation.
I'm going to get to your arguments in a moment. I'm giving Beeb his answer. He already put her as the co-feature. He's like, yo, Steven Espinoza, we need to put her as a co-feature. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Jake Paul. Yes, okay, sir. And she became the co-feature. That's number one. Secondly, 50 wasn't paying Billy Dib. 50 wasn't paying Yuriorkis Gamboa. You know what? Jake Paul paid Amanda Serrano. He did. So he's already given that trust, or he's already earned that trust from her. So when you're going from 5 figures, and I'm not blaming Lou DiBella, he doesn't have the platforms that Jake Paul has. But yeah, she's going to a different platform that's already proven to pay her, that's already proven to put her on pay-per-views, Mr. Joe Habib. So why not give it a try? She's 32 years old, and what she's been doing thus far is not really worked out to her benefit the way that she wants. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give my take here on it. And look, man, you guys know I'm not big on the business of boxing.
You are big on the
You know what I'm
business. You've
saying?
been
I'm
doing
not
this
big,
too
man.
long. You are big on the business. You're all about
I
the
hate it.
business. You
I
are
hate the
G
business of
Funkadelic.
boxing.
G Funkadelic.
But I'll say this, man. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for her, man.
Smart G Funk.
Because she's again, she's not a spring chicken, although she is a really good fighter. I've been saying this ever since Jake Paul has burst onto the boxing scene, and I've heard the arguments about how he's helping boxing, he's getting more eyes on boxers, and boxers are getting paid. Like, the one thing that is proven is that boxers have been getting paid while they've been fighting on his undercards, and I'm all for that. I'm good with that. These guys deserve money, and the women, they deserve money. But is it a long-term thing? We don't know yet. I personally don't think it is a long-term thing. I think these people that pay to go see him fight and pay to watch the pay-per-view are there to see Jake Paul, and that's it. They don't give a shit about the fighters that are there. I mean, I have not seen any reaction or any growth from guys like Regis Prograis or any of these other guys who are on the undercards of these celebrity matches. Like, I just haven't seen it yet. So until I see some big growth out of these fighters that have had this big exposure on these Jake Paul undercards, then I'm gonna have to say it's not a long-term thing, it's a short-term thing. I hope nothing but the best, because I want the best for boxing, but I just don't see it yet, And if anybody's got any rebuttals to anybody else, go ahead before we move on.
I just want to know, Jake Paul, if you're listening, okay? Maestro wants to be part of your crew, your entourage. Like, hire the guy. You know what I mean? He wants to be part of the team. All right? He's just giving away money, Maestro. Hey, he might give me some. If he gives me 60,000 just to shout him out. You know what I mean? You never know, right? So, I vouch for you.
Go ahead, B. What you got, B?
I mean, if Rock Nation SMS, as D-Style said, if these guys haven't taught us anything, then we haven't learned from history. Then,
Joe, did SMS pay Billy Dib?
Yeah, they have to. They're the promoter.
No, they
promoter.
Didn't.
The promoter pays the fighter.
Yeah, but
did they give him charity like that? No.
50 Cent put. I'm sorry, he put SMS Promotions into bankruptcy. He wasn't paying his fighters.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know Jake Paul's not going to do the same?
What about Jay-Z though? Isn't Jay-Z's almost worth $1 billion? What happened to Rock Nation?
With all due respect, Andre Ward got paid a lot of money by Jay-Z.
Who else?
Okay, but what did they do for boxing?
And also, in terms of what G Funky said, most people aren't going to watch an Amanda Serrano pay-per-view. I agree. But other than Christy Martin and Katie Taylor and a handful of other people, who actually tunes in just to watch female boxing? The answer is not a lot of people, guys.
Okay, like you yourself, Maestro, have been on this platform. You yourself have said, okay, that her getting $1 million against Katie Taylor is ridiculous. She hasn't shown that she could generate that type of money. And Jake Paul gave her subsidized money. Okay, he gave her charity, and then you're using that as some type of proof that he's going to be great for her career.
It's already. Bro, she's already earned in her last fight what it would have taken her 10
well,
fights.
she could have. That could have been true if she didn't sign with him too. Like I don't know what you mean.
I'll tell you what I mean. She was on. See, this is the thing. Okay, I love the quarterback.
Amanda Serrano. Listen to this. Amanda Serrano revealed she did not.
He got rattled. He's a little rattled.
whoa. Amanda Serrano reveals she did not receive $500,000 bonus from Jake Paul. So how much did she really make?
I don't know, but I guarantee you this. Well,
How do we know? How do we know? How do we know it's
No, you can't say guarantee. You can't say I don't know, but I guarantee.
We don't know how much she made.
I don't know. I love saying I don't know.
You don't know, but I guarantee. I need to hear this one.
I don't know.
It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. Yo, hey, is this car gonna work? I don't know, but I guarantee you that you'll be able to drive it well.
Amanda Serrano made $75,000. Katie Taylor's making millions.
Okay, that's great. She's not Katie Taylor. That's number one. Okay.
She needs to be Katie Taylor. She needs to be Katie Taylor.
Not going to be Katie Taylor.
Look at her resume.
She's not going to be. We already know that Katie Taylor has a built-in fan base in Ireland and in England.
I shouldn't be making more than Amanda Serrano. I shouldn't be making more than Amanda Serrano, Maestro.
I agree with you.
Shouldn't be making more than Amanda Serrano, Maestro.
Here's what I do know. I'll tell you what I do know.
Beeb should not be making more than Amanda Serrano. He's not taking punches.
So in other words, he didn't know anything about what he said previously. Now he's going to tell us what he knows. Go ahead, Maestro.
Let's hear Maestro so we can move on to the next topic.
$75,000, G.
I'm going to say this, and we'll move on. This is how you know all these guys are Jake Paul haters.
I love Jake Paul.
They're just bringing up Jake Paul just to hate on him. Here's the thing. I don't remember any of you talking about, is it a good idea for Amanda Serrano to sign with Ring City? Well, when did that happen? When did that discussion happen? She was with Ring City right before the Jake Paul fight. We weren't discussing whether or not that was a good move for her.
To sign with Matchroom.
Ring City. Was it a good idea?
Matchroom. Was it
a good idea for her to be on Ring City? Where was that discussion?
Horrible.
Okay. What about you? Did you bring it up? Where's Maestro's video talking about Ring City?
I don't talk.
Okay, then. Okay, cool.
Maestro, I'm 52 years old. There's only so much I can register in this brain.
I remember
52. I'm 52, Maestro.
I remember.
All right, guys.
I forgot what I had for supper.
Anyway,
let's move on. But we're gonna stick with this women's boxing.
I mean, we already reached the limit of capping for the show. Like,
hey, G Funky, can I get a word in?
Sure, go ahead, Dave, real quickly. Yeah.
All right. The irony of all this is that Jake Paul has a constant assault on MMA, and the model for creating the highest grossing female combat athlete was Ronda Rousey. So there's something to be, he bashes MMA and the UFC, and she is the epitome she became an overnight female household name. So he's got someone that has the athleticism, the star, but does she carry the star potential to become a household name?
That was checkmate, Maestro. That was checkmate. Tip the king. Tip the king. Get him, Dave. Get him, Dave.
Then she went to the WWE to earn her bag. And by the way, she never earned in MMA what Layla Ali earned in boxing. So let's just keep it moving and stop trashing boxing. Are we boxing fans, or are we just out here acting like MMA is the greatest? Come on now.
I'm not an MMA guy, but let's stick with Jake Paul in the women's division, the women's side of boxing, right? We had Clarissa Shields come out and say a few things about Jake Paul herself, where she says, "Don't ever disrespect me. I would never fight on the undercard of a Jake Paul card. I'm a 3-division world champion, 2-time Olympian, and I would never fight on a Jake Paul card." Not only that, she says, and before I get on the undercard of a guy that's having a circus show, no disrespect to Tyron Woodley, no disrespect to Jake Paul, but I'm a real boxer. I can beat up Jake Paul at the weight class I'm in right now. Now, I'm only asking you guys this question because we've had guys come on our shows claiming that Clarissa Shields can beat some of the men on the other side of the street or whatever it is, So I want to ask you guys this question. Would that be something that they would entertain a fight with Shields? And could she beat up Jake Paul? I'm going to start with Maestro. Go ahead, man.
Yo, the first thing that comes to mind, right, is Serena Williams talking about how she could beat men in tennis. And Serena Williams is arguably the greatest female tennis player of all time, dominated the sport. Sometimes she was in her prime. It looked like a woman against little kids, the way she was dominating tennis. But you know what happened when they put her in? I think the guy's name was Karsten or something. Forget. He's not a known tennis player. He's like nowhere near the top of the ATP rankings, like hundreds of something in the world. She got her ass whooped. I mean, that's just.
You can't whoop somebody's ass in tennis. She got outscored. Okay.
Oh, he got his ass whooped. This score was horrible.
She got whooped. It was straight sets. I don't think.
Whoopings are reserved for combat sport. I'm just
probably struggled to get a rap on her, to be honest with you. And that's what it is.
Ready to be whooped. She was ready to be whooped.
That's what it is. That's what it is. You know, look. She's great at women's boxing. Women's boxing is she's a big fish in the small pond, right? But men's boxing, we're talking the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans combined, bro. It's two totally different things. We got to stop mixing up the two if we're gonna keep it real.
I love when he goes deep like that.
All right, yeah.
Goosebump.
Beeb, you're up, man. What do you think, man?
Females cannot beat up males. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, females can beat up a male like me that's 52 with arthritis in every joint in his body, but you're not going to beat an athlete.
You're not that bad. You're not that bad. You sound like Chief Funky about this is the boxing. You're okay. You're in the gym every day. 3 hours a day, right?
Keep gassing me up like that, and you're going to get a good Christmas present this year. But anyways, here's the thing. I understand where she's coming from. And, but she's at a point now where she doesn't want to be on anyone's undercard anyways. And Christy Martin, when we had her on here, she said, you know what? Sometimes you got to be on the men's undercard. Like Christy Martin loved being on Mike Tyson's undercard because she was able to be put in front of so many people. So I don't think it would hurt her to be on a Jake Paul undercard, but we don't know what the Tyrone Woodley Jake Paul pay-per-view actually did. So we don't know if Jake Paul is pulling in these numbers. We don't know if the social media presence has transcended over to this boxing thing now, right? We don't know because we're not getting the actual numbers. Trilla has, bogus numbers. We can't trust their numbers. And Showtime didn't release the numbers for this one. And usually when the numbers aren't released, we don't, it's usually we don't know. And it's because it's not a great figure, right? Mm-hmm. So I can understand where she's coming from, but are his numbers really that great? We don't know. That's a tremendous question. So how much help could he really give her? We don't know.
She's probably doing better numbers in the PFL or that league she was fighting in.
Well, she's signed to Sky Sports, right? That was a phenomenal move, So if she fights Savannah Marshall, I think she can do really good over in the UK, right?
Yeah, and I want you guys to keep in mind as well. I mean, I know this is kind of funny, but I'm only asking the question because Jake Paul's not a real fighter. He's just not, in my opinion, And I think we've seen that in his last fight. So we know Clarissa Shields is obviously probably the best in a lot of people's opinion. So I know it sounds kind of funny, but we have to think about it because this guy he's not a real boxer. He's not. And that was exposed in his last fight. Gringo, my man, what do you think, bro?
Well, I definitely think that she believes what she's saying. Like she believes it, like when she's saying it, about, being the GOAT, about, being not want to be under his undercard, that she's the main attraction. She has an edge. That's what helps her be so successful when she fights. And, her saying that she could, beat him up. Now, the actual reality, no, I don't think that she could, because she specified saying that at this weight too, which I think is also important as well. I mean, we can say what we want. Yeah, he's a novice clearly, even though he has, wins in Boxing Rec, but Jake Paul is, a big guy, and maybe sparring is one thing, but an actual fight, I don't know that would actually happen. But to Habib's point, I can't see, that actually taking place in her winning. I think she could, land some shots on him, but actually win, no, that's something else. And I mean, it could be, he's a big dude, like I said. I mean,
he is.
It's maybe not be in her best interest, but I do believe she said. What she said, she truly believes, and that's in her conviction, that she's better than him, which I know a lot of fighters female and male feel, and they resent the fact that he had the success that he had, and also kind of compounded the fact that a competitor of hers that is a direct competitor in Amanda Serrano is partnered up with him and did get that that bag, did get the biggest payday in history, whether it was trickled down or it was a not directly on the purse, but it was something that he took out of his pocket and put into her purse. It's still the biggest payday she got for a fight, and he made her the co-main event as far as Amanda Serrano. So I almost felt like when I was hearing them again, maybe looking too much into it, but she believes it. I felt a little bit of jealousy as well, but yeah, she would get her ass whooped.
Yeah, man. D-Style. What do you think, bro?
I'll keep it very simple. Well, I appreciate her, like her grit and outspokenness and all that, because she does talk like a fighter, that's for sure. You know what I mean? But I mean, look, I get what you're saying, G-Funky, but at the end of the day, he's a man and she's a woman. And I don't mean to. I know people. Oh, these styles are sexist and At the end of the day, that's why they have women's divisions, and then they have males divisions. Okay, I think we can all agree that Lucia Riker is one of the best female fighters of all time. She got knocked out by a dude that wasn't that good. She got dominated and knocked out. Okay, so in fact, it looked unfair by looking at it. Right, so look, I think I would be okay if she left it at I'm not going to be on the undercard of this dude. That's cool. I respect fighters who take that stand, but you'll take it all the way now. Don't be like read these pro grades and say you're not going to do it, and then like the moment comes and you do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, don't go around saying you could beat up men.
Christy Martin was getting knocked out cold by a washed up, never was, much older boxer who happened to be her husband and trainer. And that's Christy Martin.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, people hate on Jake Paul. Oh, he's not a real boxer. You know who I have a real problem with?
Campbell. He's right here. She fucking said he's right people.
With Campbell Gadden, a guy who's not living off his own name like Jake Paul is, but who's living off the name of his father, right? Is 4-0 against nondescript opponents and just lost every round of his last fight to a guy with a losing record, but was gifted a scorecard on the AJ Usyk undercard. That's what I have a problem with, not Jake Paul.
Yeah, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to pass it off to my man 408. Look, as far as her saying, I don't want to be on this guy's undercard and these circus acts, like, I agree. Like I said, I don't think that these are real fight fans that are watching this guy fight. Until proven otherwise, that's going to be my stance. So, I'm with her on that one. As far as saying I could beat him up and all these things, like, I mean, obviously every fighter is going to think, they can whoop anybody. You're supposed to have confidence and things like that. But this sort of thing, I mean, I know we've seen in other sports, like like we've seen with tennis and other things where women and men compete against each other. Like, fighting should not be one of those sports where we allow a man and a woman. And I don't care, and look, I don't like Jake Paul. I just flat out say I don't like him. I think he's playing boxing is what he's doing. And you don't play this fucking sport, man. People get hurt. People can die in this sport. And putting a woman in there against a man, throwing hands at each other. No, I don't think she can beat him. And I think she'd be crazy to try to fight the guy. And that would just give boxing such a bad look, man. Especially a sport right now that's on damn near life support. Like, that would not be good. That's just my take on it. 408, what do you think, man?
At the end of the day, Clarissa Shields enjoys trolling us as much as Jake Paul. Is it possible for a girl to beat up a guy? Man, in college, I had this girlfriend that her friend was like a second-degree Taekwondo touring. She would do the tournaments, and I think she was in an abusive relationship, and her boyfriend was a pretty nasty, tough guy. And when push came to shove, they had a domestic violence incident, and she whooped on him. Like his face was all effed up. So is it possible? It's possible, but in her case, I really don't know. But you know what actually bothers me more is when I'm seeing a trend in MMA with actual transgender athletes now competing against women. That's actually happening. That's making the news. And just this past weekend, I was watching the Nate Diaz, shout out to Stockton. I saw the Nate Diaz UFC card, and there was a girl from San Jose, California, a Mexican-American girl, who got beat down pretty hard by a girl from Brazil who, as clear as night and day, was abusing testosterone. Her face had completely morphed into a man. The Adam's apple was protruding. The physical dimensions look like I'm abusing testosterone and I'm getting away with it. That bothers me more, that you can allow in a combat sports women to edge other female athletes either by being transgender or by abusing steroids.
Yeah, that's another issue, and we've talked about that as well. I'm just not. I would never be in favor of seeing a man fighting a woman. That shouldn't happen. Period. Anywhere. The way that I see it. That's just something that should never, ever happen.
I just want to add something really quick. So look, and I get it, right? Like we're all gonna have anecdotal stories of but I know of this one girl that beat up this dude. And look, if we get 1,000 fights between men and women, there's gonna be a handful where the women won, but a vast majority, like 99% of them, the man's gonna win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
There's outliers in every situation, but 90% of the men can
plus like in your example, do you know how it started? Well, was he sitting down and she punched him? Did she hit him in the back of the head? Was he kind of taken off guard by one of her strikes? You don't know, we don't know the situation of every situation, right? But I will. So let me just end it with this. I do have a cousin who was being abused by his significant other. She was striking him and stuff like that. Okay. And he wouldn't hit her back. Right. But it is possible for a woman to be abusive towards a man. Okay. And yes, a woman could still fuck up your orbital bone. They could still do damage to our faces, and they could still do all that. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to point that out. You know what I mean? I'm not excusing stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I was sitting down in my chair about maybe 15 years ago. My ex-girlfriend come up from behind and she gave me a shot right in the friggin' cheek, knocked me off the chair. Beeb had to take a standing 8.
Man,
he had to take an 8 count. Beeb took an 8 count.
Why'd you get hit?
She hit me right in the cheek.
But why?
I was sitting right here, and she was coming up. She came up behind me, right? We were arguing, and then she just came behind me and gave me a punch right in the cheek, and I'm facing this way. Beeb had to take an 8 count on that one. Had to take a straight 8.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been involved in something like that as well as a younger man.
Did you take the 8, G? Did you take the 8?
No, me being the smart ass that I am, she was so mad. She struck me in the face, and I just looked at her and said, "Oh, that feels good. Do it again." But that's just the kind of jerk off I could be sometimes, Anybody else got any last words on this before we switch to the next topic?
I agree, G Funky. I never want to see a man fight a woman in the ring. There's just no good outcome to that, and it should never happen.
Yeah, and I agree here with Divine. Says I've seen drunk dudes get pieced up by women, but in a real fight, nah, not down with that at all. No, I don't think any real man would be, or any real man would even want to fight a woman. That's just
no.
Anyway, let's just move on, man. I just wanted to ask the question, but I want to talk about what Mr. Bob Arum, one of our favorite promoters out there, Mr. Bob Arum. He's acting like he's doing something that's unheard of in boxing, right? He talked about how Valdez and the winner of the Shakur Stevenson Herring fight is something that he's going to make sure happens. I'll do everything in my power to make sure that happens, right? He says here, I've listened to both fighters in Atlanta, Shakur and Herring. Arum said in reference to a press conference September 9th, and each talked about wanting to fight Valdez, and Valdez says that he wants the winner of that fight. he also goes on to say, I'll do whatever I can to make it happen. That is just like hilarious to me. Like, I mean, what's the problem, Bob? Like, this is an in-house fight. Like, like this is nothing complicated here, man. Okay, so I mean, what do you guys make of this? This guy's over here bragging about I'm gonna do everything in my power to make this fight happen. Like it's something that's just so hard to make. 408. What do you think, man?
He didn't make anything to make it happen between. I mean, he could have gone right to Valdez versus the other guy, right? Why am I blanking out on his name, man? Help me out here. Not Shakur Stevenson. What's
Jamal
that?
Herring.
Jamel, yeah, who was always in the ring with Christine in her chat. Real nice guy. And he's looking in fantastic shape, by the way. Yeah, why didn't he try to make that unification fight immediately? That was in-house. All of a sudden, this one, I'm going to do everything. It's actually really comical. But I think it's because, Top Rank has a lot of money invested into these hot prospects. You see how just a couple weeks ago, Gabe Flores, they had a lot invested into Gabe Flores. He was the youngest fighter ever to be signed by Top Rank until Xander Zayas came along. So that tells you something, the signing bonuses these kids have gotten, how much they have invested into them, right? So they have a lot of money and energy invested into the other kid who they think is probably going to be something great, a multi-divisional champion. So I much would have preferred to have seen that unification right away, but I think we're going to get to it.
Well, Bob's doing everything in his power to make an in-house fight. So, D-Style, what do you think about Bob's comments, man? Acting like he's solving the Rubik's Cube or something here,
Well, let me say this. So, and it goes back to something that we've talked about, right? And I think it'll serve for some education for everybody. So everybody sit down, okay? Class is in session. I'm the maestro right now, okay? so check this out. So, no, I get it that it's all in-house, you funky, right? But he can't, you see this right here? This pen? He can't force Valdez to sign on the dotted line. Valdez needs to sign on the dotted line. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they've all
408 asked
that they want to fight, though. That's the thing.
408, it's my turn. 408 asked, okay, why did he try to make the Shakur Stevenson fight? They were talking about making that fight. The problem was Herring was being accused of ducking the Shakur fight and trying to make the fight with Valdez. So they ended up making that fight, but he was like Shakur exercised his mandatory with the WBO, very similar to how Usyk did against Joshua, right? So those are the WBO rules. So that's why that fight's happening first, right? At the end of the day, Bob Arum does need to do some convincing, right? According to him, right? He can't just make Valdez fight these guys. Or vice versa. He can't just make the winner fight Valdez. He needs to sit down with them and with the matchmaker, and they need to agree. And if they don't, there's nothing he could do to make them fight. Nothing, right? He could blackball them. He could sit them. He could sit them out. He could do a lot of other things. But then you have to ask yourself, well, what good does that do him? So as a promoter, even if it is in-house, there is still some convincing that needs to be done in order to make fights happen, right? At the end of the day, he still had to talk to Lomachenko about making the fight with Teofimo, right? He still had to convince Teofimo and Loma both to take a pay cut in order to make their fight happen. Will be over a year ago now, right? So there are challenges that a promoter has, even if they are in-house, right? So, that's all I wanted to say about that. Now, is it easier to make since in-house? Absolutely. Do I believe that we will see it? I don't know. I think it'll come down to the fighters. It'll come down to what they want. It'll come down to how long are they going to stay in each division. What if Shakur wins and he says, I don't want to fight Valdez right now. There's nothing they could do to make him fight Valdez. Nothing. right? What if the WBO says, okay, but this guy's in line or whatever, you got to fight this mandatory. So there are challenges in place, right? It's not as simple as Bob Arum saying, well, you're all with me, so I'm just going to make the fight happen, and that's it. It's not that simple. The fighters need to agree to do it, right? They still have a large portion of the whatever you want to call it to make the fight happen.
All right.
Now you all may speak.
This guy, Sean. What do you think of this stuff from Bob Arum here?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it twofold. I mean, partly I'm thinking, damn, does he realize they're all underneath his banner? You know, being a hater that I am, because Bob is up there. Because I saw the comment, and I agree with that. Initially, that was my reaction, but then as I thought through it, the fight between Shakur Stevens and Jamel Herring is around the corner. Maybe I know it's in Atlanta and there's expected buzz, but maybe they're not getting the ticket sales, so they're trying to create some, attraction to that fight, trying to get a buzz around that fight. And then thirdly, the other thing I was thinking is that, he's not as crazy as, we think he is, or at least that I think he is. And he's putting it out there like, hey, I did my part. So if it doesn't go through, don't fucking come look at me. Like I tried, and for whatever reason it fell through because, to the other point of D-Style, yeah, he can't force them. He can, really implore them and encourage them and, strategically put things into their benefit of doing the fight, but he can't necessarily make them sign because there's a lot of other parties involved. But that was kind of my thing. So Layered initially was like, oh shit, does he realize they're all under his banner? And then it was like, okay, maybe there's something behind that as far as, he's trying to help push the fight and get people excited about seeing that fight, which is around the corner on the 23rd. Or is in it also kind of play a little bit of politics too, like, hey, I'm not the bad guy. I mean, in this case. So that's my initial reaction to that, and also kind of a little bit of, like Chris Rock said, he's trying to get credit for some shit that he should be doing anyway. You know what I mean? That's kind of
there you go. That's a classic line from Chris Rock as well. Yeah.
That's true.
Beeb, what do you think of your main man, Bob Arum? What do you think, man?
Really not going to take that much power to make this fight. It's not going to be the power of Grayskull. I have the power. I think the winner of the Shakur Stevenson fight will definitely the Jamal Herring Shakur Stevenson fight will definitely fight Valdez after seeing how Valdez looked in his last performance. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think it'll probably be the most lucrative fight for everybody involved. And again, it'll be unification, right? So whoever fights Valdez, the winner of that fight with Valdez will have the power in the division, right? So I just don't see why they wouldn't want to do that. And I think it'll be very easy. So I think it's a no-brainer. And I think I'm pretty confident that the winner will fight Valdez. I really am. So it's my opinion.
Yep. Maestro, what are your thoughts on Mr. Bob Arum and his struggles to make an in-house fight? Oh, you're on mute.
One of the benefits, guys, of being the head comandante of Maestro A Boxing is I don't have an ESPN contract. I don't need inside access to these people. I watch my fights. I talk shit about the fights I watch. I get on these shows. I debate people like my brothers D-Style, Joe Habib, and you yourself, G Funky, and others. So I get to just say what I think. You know what I mean? I got a full-time job. I'm in a union. I'm good. Having said that, I don't really buy anything Bob Arum says. Period. He said so many things, even recently, that have just turned out to be categorically false, that whatever he says, I literally take well, not literally, but I figuratively take it with a grain of salt. Now, to D-Style's point, there's a litany of examples of fights that Top Rank couldn't make. He's mentioned a few. I'll mention some others. What happened to Floyd Margarito? Weren't they under the same banner? What happened to Crawford against Pac-Man? They were under the same banner. But to Joe's point, I think what makes this fight a little bit more likely than some of the ones I mentioned that were mentioned before is that these guys are not pay-per-view fighters, far from it. And I think that Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring, to Joe's point, look at Valdez Conceição and say, wow, that's not a guy that I got to be worried about. You know what I mean? I could outbox that dude. You know what I mean? I'm physically probably bigger than him. I'm probably stronger. You know, he might have confidence issues, hence the use of the herbal tea, you know? And why wouldn't they take that fight? You know, it's not like these guys are earning like multi high $1 million paydays like Floyd was or like Pac-Man was and has something to lose. And the only other reason that Bob wouldn't make a fight like this would be what I call the Rigo effect. You know, he's got a guy in his stable that's super talented that he doesn't like because he can't make money off of him because he doesn't know how to market him. And he's fearful of that guy whooping the ass of his prospects and champions that are also under his umbrella. We saw what happened right here in New York City with Rigo against Nonito Donaire. You know, Bob Arum is still licking his wounds off that loss, you know. So, yeah, I see this as happening. But at the same time, like, guys, we just got to keep it real about Bob Arum and most of these dudes. Like, they are liars. They're car salesmen. They're used car salesmen. They're the worst form of used car salesmen. They're the kind of guy that's going to sell you that polished up ride that's looking all shiny in the lot. Then by the time you turn around the corner, the wheels are falling off. You're pumping the brakes. You know, it's not stopping at the stoplight. You know, it's starting to smoke like crazy. You're like, what the hell did I just buy? And then you go back and the guy's gone or telling you that he didn't tell you that was a great car. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on this particular topic.
All right, I want to address the super chat here from my man D-Style Box. It says, Maestro agreeing with me, best thing he's done all show. Laugh out loud, joking. Thanks for the support, man. Appreciate
Must
it.
have got paid off on that one.
I mean, it's young grasshoppers learning. You know what I mean? Young grasshoppers learning.
I'll say this, man. Look,
wax on, wax off, D-Style.
I hear what you guys are saying, that not every in-house fight gets made, but here's a problem I have with it is all three parties involved, Valdez, Herring, and Stevenson, have all said they want that fight next. Regardless of who wins, you know, all parties involved are ready to get this fight going. And I think it's a really good fight, whoever it is that comes out victorious again, with Herring and Shakur Stevenson. So I don't see like Beeb said, we don't need the power of Grayskull, all right, to make this fight. Like, this should be easy as 1, 2, 3 to make. And I anticipate it being made as soon as this fight is over between Herring and Stevenson. So I don't know, maybe Bob's forgetting. Like, I see this one in the chat, and maybe he forgot all three of these guys are under the top ranked banner. I don't know, man. But I don't anticipate any hiccups here from any of these guys. I think we get this fight going, and it's a hell of a fight. It's going to be a unification at 130. So that's what I got to say, man. We got a few people here saying that Herring is old and overrated. I mean, we'll see, man. He's by far, in my opinion, the best fighter that Shakur has been in with. So we'll find out a few things about Shakur coming up real soon. But I like the fight. Can't wait to see it. So let's go ahead and move on, man. Over here in HCP, we got ourselves an official sponsor, and that's loyalroots.com. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break.
Shout out to Usyk.
Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I am the underdog, misjudged and overlooked. Some say I don't belong. I shouldn't be here. I can't keep up. I won't last. I'm not good enough. Not well connected. I haven't paid my dues. But guess what? I don't care. I won't listen. I can't stop. I won't stop. I refuse. I know what is within me, even if you can't see it. I have more passion than skill. I have more grit than finesse. I am unafraid to fail. I am all these things, and I am more. I dream. I believe. I hustle. I struggle. grind, I succeed, and I repeat these steps every day. It's my process. I am a creative. So, who are you?
I am Alexander Usyk, the underdog. That's right, and he won. That's
Underdog, baby. Like my San Francisco Giants were the underdog all year long. They predicted they'd be in last place, and they're the best team in baseball. Shout out to the San Francisco Giants. And also shout out to my brother right here on the panel with me. Long live boxing with the $20 drops a dub on your boy. Says another great news about Stevenson versus Herring is Xander Zayas was added to the card on the co-main. Respect to the panel and chat. Hey, that's great news. We love Xander Zayas over here. We've had him on a couple times. Really, really good kid. And I always look forward to seeing that young man fight. So, second hour, I always like to leave the good topics for the second hour, you know. And we got some official news from one Mr. Manny Pacquiao.
Sometimes when we touch, I'm feeling just too much.
The man is hanging up the gloves and is running for president in the Philippines. But I want to hand the mic over to my man Dave from the 408. I want to get your thoughts on him retiring, and what is your one favorite moment from Mr. Manny Pacquiao?
Oh God, do I really want to say that? I mean, first of all, an incredible legacy that he's leaving behind for the sport of boxing and for the people of Philippines. First ballot Hall of Famer. The timing couldn't be better. We all witnessed that his fast twitch muscles and his inability to pull the trigger anymore. He's not going to win any major fights at welterweight against any of the top champions. And I certainly don't want to see him sustain any kind of brain damage that could impede, a fantastic political career that he's embarked on. Here he is running for president with just as good enough chance as the Duterte family. So I think the timing is perfect for him to ride off into the sunset in the sport of boxing. He's paid his dues, and we'll always remember. I'm going to remember so many events. Unfortunately for me, my favorite moment is when Marquez got revenge and dropped him in that fourth and final fight.
Man,
that's for now. I mean, that's just the first one off my top of my head. But I mean, I'm a big fan of Manny Pacquiao, man. Much respect to him. I do have to get going. I want to say thank you to everyone on the panel for having me, especially G Funky. I'm looking forward to the 50th episode of the Roundtable. Always, I think, the best panel in boxing on YouTube. I do have some very exciting news that I'm waiting to hear some confirmation on Monday. You can catch the Shoe Shine after G Funky's show. Either catch the end of it or the replay, but I have some really, really exciting news around the Tyson Fury fight. I'm just waiting to hear confirmation, and hopefully I'll have that on Monday. If you've never watched the Shoe Shine, do tune into that Monday show because I got some big news. I'm just waiting for it to pan out, and I'll see you guys most likely next week, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime, Dave, from the Shoe Shine.
Peace.
Peace out, guys. Take care.
Love having you on, man. And I want everybody in the chat to subscribe to the Shoe Shine here on YouTube. Great show they got going on over there. Have a good one, Dave. Man, he sends Pacquiao off with a harsh farewell. Talk about his favorite moment was it being face planted by Marquez. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to Beeb. What are your thoughts on him, retiring, and what is your favorite moment from Pacquiao?
Sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much. I'm gonna close my eyes and cry. The good thing about him retiring is he has so much outside stuff to keep him busy with his political career, the presidential run. He's really involved with, his kids got a lot of projects going on, and he's really involved with those projects with his kids. You could see them. They all have YouTube channels, and he's like on the YouTube channel with them a lot of times doing things. So I think he's going to transition well into retirement. And I think this is the time, obviously, if you're complaining about the aches and pains, that's the telltale sign to get out, right? Because they're not going to get better with age; they're only going to get worse. Done everything he could do. I think the memorable fight for me was when he fought De La Hoya, because I remember when the fight was first announced, everyone thought he was going to get killed. They thought it was a mismatch, and then when the HBO 24/7 was going on, you could see how drained and how debilitated De La Hoya looked. And then people were taking a second look and maybe he can beat De La Hoya. But then when he did do it, seeing how this tiny little guy, like 5'5", in there with a guy 5'11", it just looked surreal in there. And it was a huge upset. And he's had a great career. What else can you say about the guy? But yeah, it is time to go. And like I said, I think he'll have a great life outside of boxing to fall back on. So he'll be okay.
Well said, my man, Joe Habib. Sean, I want to get your thoughts, man. Pacquiao officially hangs up his gloves and goes full on into politics in his native, the Philippines. And what is your favorite moment from Pacquiao in his career?
Well, I feel very fortunate and blessed to have seen his career, and I have a unique moment that was special to me. I know a lot of people, they see on the outside looking in, they talk about, what Pacquiao means to the Philippines, but I got to actually experience it. In one of my jobs, I had to go over there to work, and I was there May 2nd, 2009, and, it was in Las Vegas, so it's a 24-hour difference. So when I was watching the fight, it was in the morning when the fight, it's Sunday morning there, and I was normally instead of having a barbecue with my family, I was, eating breakfast with, a bunch of strangers, but it became my family during the fight, during the Ricky Hatton fight. And I just remember the energy in the crowd. And, I was kind of homesick at the time, but man, it was just, I really truly saw at that moment, like what he meant to, obviously boxing, but to that country and to those people. And it was something I'll never forget. It was surreal. It was like the whole, like they say, there's no crime when he fights, that there was no one in the street. If you had to do something, you didn't do it. I mean, it was all about, especially at that time when he was, kind of in his prime. So it was unbelievable to me. And it's something I always, cherish and appreciate. And, I hate that we're going to lose him, but I don't think we really have the gravity of what we're saying. Like he's running for president for a country. That's insane. But props to him and thanks for the memories.
Good stuff there, man. Beeb, we have someone calling you out. Says, Beeb, I still can't agree. Bradley beat him. I think Bradley won that first fight as well. I scored that fight for Bradley. My post-fight video is still up on my video that I did. What was that? 8 years ago? I want to say 9 years ago that fight happened. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
It's because of groupthink, G Funky. Everyone's got to agree with
leave it to Beeb and G-Funky to make it about them when this is about Manny Pacquiao. But it's okay, I get it, guys. Make it about yourselves, make it about you.
We made
money on it.
That accurately said Pacquiao won the fight.
We got paid. We got paid. That's all that matters. It's about the Dore.
So why you acting like a bunch of victims? Oh, they went at us. So we said that he won.
At the end
Stop
of the
crying
day.
about it. Stop crying about it.
It's about the ducats.
Woo!
Like
because they were coming after us, and we were saying that Bradley won. And who cares? Who cares?
We got the
Go back and watch that 8-year video. Check that out.
Yeah, check it out. Maestro, I know you're a big Manny Pacquiao fan. What are your thoughts, man? You're on mute, but what are your thoughts?
My guess, G Funky, is that I'm speaking right now to a couple Marco Antonio Barrera fans. Tell me I'm lying.
Oh, I'm one.
So now we understand the little bit of a biased scorecard. Now we get it. I see Joe's keeping quiet over there, which brings me to my memorable Pac-Man moment. Him whooping Marco Antonio Barrera's ass after the Lucero win. A lot of people
jump in and save him.
A lot of people didn't think he was going to do that at the Alamo Dome. I bet you G Funky wasn't one of them.
It was like Paris and Hector. When Paris was like begging for his life, and Hector, I'm not going to let you kill my brother. That's what happened in that fight.
Oh man, it was a rough time for the Barrera fans. So I think when Bradley fought him, he had a lot of Barrera fans in his corner that night. Notwithstanding all that shit talk, I actually did think that Pacquiao won that fight. I don't necessarily agree with all of the hatred that went Bradley's way. I mean, he didn't necessarily have anything to do with obviously the judging.
Beautiful performance from Bradley.
But yeah, I mean, he
Beautiful
did tremendous work with that head. You know what I mean? Tremendous
performance. Yeah,
tremendous work
he's
with
a
that
smart guy. He used his head in that fight. He did use his head in that fight. He's brilliant.
Funny enough, it reminds me a lot of the second, possibly, greatest cruiserweight of all time, Mr. Evander, the real deal, Holyfield. But I digress. Pac-Man, great fighter, great legacy, great story. He went from a shoe shine kid that weighed less than 100 pounds to an 8 division, 5-time lineal. I think, what was it? Like, I can't even count the number of times he's won world titles. Champion. Great career. I just hope that politics doesn't corrupt him. You know, the Philippines is a patronage society. There's a lot of the corruption over there. Look at the history of the Marcos dynasty, not just Ferdinand, who was a terrible, corrupt, very brutal leader of that country, but his wife, Esmeralda, and their offspring actually that tried to run for politics and are still very politically involved over there.
Somebody's committed me to is this boxing history?
Well, hey, man, class is in session, guys.
I love when he talks to politics. Let him
Wait.
That was a smooth transition too. Nice.
The once forgotten former colony of the United States that was subject to a brutal colonial rule by these United States of America. Mass slaughter of hundreds of thousands of innocent Filipinos. Now, anyways, the point is Duterte, terrible leader, obviously. You know, death squads for guys smoking marijuana and all kind of other things that we take for granted here. I do hope that Pac-Man does become president. I just hope that Pac-Man is able to do what he did in the ring, which is fight for his people as president and not become one of the many corrupt leaders that exist in this world that we inhabit. And I wish him all the best. I'll just leave it at that.
No, you make a good point, man. I spoke to, you know, a friend of the family who is from the Philippines. The family still lives over in the Philippines, and they tell me the same thing. Very corrupt. Money runs the government there and things like that. So Pacquiao's got a legit shot, man. We know he's paid like crazy over there, so he's got a legit shot at becoming the president. It's whether he'll do his job the right way or let the corrupt politics take it somewhere else. I'm going to give a shout out to Chicano Prophet with a 499. Says my favorite memory is watching Pacquiao Marquez 2 live. Atmosphere was electric. Pacquiao was one of a kind. Thank you for the support, man. Appreciate that. So, as far as the Marco Antonio Barrera hate, is all I got to say to you guys. Give you a little Kawhi Leonard laugh for the little wise cracks over there, all right? For the Barrera haters over there, all right? But D-Style, you're the biggest Barrera hater on here, but what do you think about this news here, man?
No, look, I'm going to say this very seriously. Boxing in the last 20 years did not in any way, shape, or form show. And I mean this as not just as an entity, as a sport. I mean the fans, us as fans. We never showed that we even deserve someone like Manny Pacquiao. We never showed that. Someone who took on everybody, took on all comers, fought the majority. Everyone can't fight everybody. Okay, let me just put that out there. You could nitpick and you could say, "Well, he didn't fight this guy and that guy." We didn't deserve Manny Pacquiao. We'll never have another Manny Pacquiao. I will be extremely shocked if we will ever have that. They just love to nitpick this guy's career. And look, everything's fair game. I get that. You know what I mean? And I think that shows how polarizing and how big of a figure he was to boxing. That it brings back, like for Beeb and G-Funky, it brings back like memories of the Pac-Tards coming after them and stuff like that. Ooh, you know what I mean? But in all seriousness, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao himself, right, and what he accomplished, let's be honest. If you've been following boxing, when this guy was fighting Marco Antonio Barrera and beating his ass, okay, and when he won a trilogy against my favorite fighter of all time, Eric Morales, try to freeze time right there. Like just freeze it. Never in anyone's wildest dreams did anybody think that guy was going to be fighting at welterweight. All right, nobody thought that. Welterweights were giants to Manny Pacquiao. All right, yet he fought them. Yet he went up there and he fought these guys. Okay, like at the end of the day, and he fought the who's who. Right, and I'll end it with this. I remember watching the movie Troy. We watched the very end of that movie. The narrator says, "Let's say and let's celebrate and let's say that we lived in a time of Achilles. We lived in a time of Hector and in the time of Achilles, right? Well, I lived in the time of Manny Pacquiao. Right, I'll be able to tell people I witnessed Manny Pacquiao. I don't think it's settled in yet with people. I do believe he's been taken for granted. I do believe he will be missed. I do believe that fighters like him are they're just not a dime a dozen. They're not, and I hope people understand that. I hope they understand that what Manny Pacquiao meant for the sport, what Manny Pacquiao gave to the sport, right? And I want to thank all the fighters that fought him and wish them nothing but the best, from Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, his most recent opponent, Ugas, to everyone, okay? Even Floyd Mayweather, I'm not recently, but when asked, like, did you like Conor? He said, hell no, I didn't like Conor. Did you like Manny? Like, actually, yeah, I liked Manny Pacquiao. I didn't dislike him. You know, he's a very likable guy. Like, he really, really is. And he meant a lot for the sport. He accomplished a lot in the sport. Okay. His positives far outweigh any negatives by far. And I think people should have a 90-10 rule when it comes to Manny. Speak 90% positive before you give me your 10% negative. Stop making it 50-50. That's my advice to people, because that's what he meant to the sport. That's what he gave to the sport. He gave his blood, his sweat, and his tears. And he gave everything to the sport up until the age of 42, right? And now he's going to run for president. I do not know his politics. I'm not going to cap for him like Maestro did, you know, when it comes to politics, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But I wish him the best.
I didn't cap for him.
He might have the worst policies imaginable for all I know. I don't know.
You can't be worse than Duterte, but ding the bell, G Funky.
I'm gonna go ahead and give my brother Maestro some credit here for dropping the $5 on me. Says Manny Pacquiao is arguably the most accomplished fighter in the history of this great sport. No, honey, I shrunk the kids. Gotta love that.
He loves to play Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We don't do that. We don't do that on my.
According to you, Ariola's a better fighter than Manny. So sit down.
We don't do that over here.
Oh,
we don't do that.
Let me get $10 super chat from my man, ringside reporter Joe Habib, right here underneath me. He says, "Greatest performance from Bradley against Pacquiao in that first fight." That was
sure. Great performance.
No.
Of the night,
I'll post to the side. It was a courageous performance.
Salute to Nando for this one, because he reminded me that he fought so well with that head that he had to be wheelchaired out of there like Tupac, bro.
Yeah. What happened in the third fight when Manny had him do backflips and shit? Okay,
he was out of that ring
right,
like
let me go.
Yo, by the way, all the backflips he was making him do in the third fight, he could have won a gold medal in his last Olympics.
All right, easy.
Could have been a gymnast.
Easy there, Killer. It's my turn. I'm on the mic now. All right, I'm on the mic.
Beep couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. He just couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself.
Let me go ahead and give my piece, man. I want to say that again, speaking with a friend of the family about the politics over in the Philippines, he does have a legit shot. the corruption, the money, if you have the machine behind you, it works. It works over there. So she's, she told us, I hope that people over there do the right thing and vote for a real politician and not for Manny Pacquiao just because he's Manny Pacquiao. But she says he has a legit shot because he's got the money, and I believe it, man. It's their real country. So, we know how that shit goes. I mean, our government is corrupt as hell as well. But I'll end it right there with the politics. But I want to say my favorite moment, or I should say my favorite moment from Manny Pacquiao in his long career is, I am going to say Marquez, but not 4. I'm going to say number 1. And the reason why I'm going to say number 1 is because Marquez was a guy who couldn't get an Eric Morales in the ring. He couldn't even get my favorite guy, Barrera, in the ring. Right? The Barrera fought him years later.
This turned into slander for Morales.
Morales never wanted.
I don't know what the slander's about. You got to take that back. Right? You got to apologize.
Right? But you know who gave Marquez his first shot, and it was in front of a big audience.
Chris John gave him a big shot
in person, and on TV it was Manny Pacquiao.
Well, Chris John gave him a whole country, Indonesia. You don't count or what?
And well, not as much as Manny Pacquiao. That fight was on HBO, and it was a good fight. Controversy, and it led to 3 more fights, all good fights. But I give him credit for that because Marquez was a guy again that not a lot of guys were looking to get in there with. And Manny said, let's do it. It looked like it was going to be a walk in the park after that first round. But, Marquez got his faculties together and made it a fight. Win, lose, or draw. It was a classic. And Manny helped get Marquez where he needed to be, because who knows what would happen if he never fought him? Who knows? We might not even be talking about Marquez being one of the greatest boxers from Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So Pacquiao deserves some credit for that, man. And that's my favorite moment from Manny Pacquiao. I mean, there's a plenty that we can go off of, but I'm picking that one. Nando Yamas, $4.99 super chat says, thank you, Manny, for all the great rewatchable fights. Too many to name. Yeah, the guy's got a ton of good fights, man. And Joe Habib with that great $10 super chat. I want to mention that again before we move on.
I mean, that was one of the most poignant points that was brought up. How great Bradley performed in that fight, man.
Yes, sir, man. So let's move on to the heavyweights. Let's go to the heavyweight division. We got ourselves another world championship heavyweight match this weekend. All right, with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. The trilogy is here. Let's hope to God nothing happens. Let's hope to God this fight happens Saturday because
it's a super chat. You have to read it. You have to read
one
the
of
super
those
chat.
things. He's out with the $2 super chat. Says Beef couldn't help himself. G Funky's Morales slander. Hey man, I love Morales too, but not as much as my man Barrera. But
that's a tough one.
We had the press conference from both guys, virtual press conferences from Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder over the last couple days. So I want to get your guys' reactions to this press conference because we're starting to warm up, man. It's getting hot. The fight's almost here. So let's get warmed up with this thing. Joe Habib, the man, the Tyson Fury fan. I want to know what your reaction was to both guys in their press conferences, man. Let us know.
Well, the thing about this fight is every time someone loses, the first thing they say is, that wasn't me. And if there is a rematch, in the rematch, they usually say there's going to be a brand new me, right? But it's hard to envision at 36 years old, a person who's won only one way his whole career, right? To all of a sudden, after 40-something fights, just morph into this brand new guy and win a different way than he never has before. Now, when I take Tyson Fury, I've seen a guy win in a multitude of ways. I've seen him outbox guys from the outside. I've seen him brawl guys on the inside. I've seen him be the counter puncher. I've seen him be the stick and move type guy. I've seen him do so many things in there. I've seen him fight guys southpaw, orthodox. So when I'm listening to Wilder talk and I'm listening to Fury talk, now obviously Fury does contradict himself a lot, right? He does talk a lot of trash, right? He's very volatile. It's hard to believe Fury, but one thing I can believe Fury when he talks about boxing is his fighting ability. He's never lied to us. That's one area he's never lied to us at. He went in there, tell you he's going to do one thing, and he does it. Every time he tells you he's going to do something, goes in there and does it, right? So the onus is on Wilder to back up what he said. I'm just the big thing. I know no one wants to talk about the excuses, but the big thing with the excuses is you can't fix a problem if you don't accept how the problem originated. You can't fix a problem if you don't know how to identify the source of the problem. So if your whole mentality, well, this is what the Beeb does. A lot of psychology. This is just a lot of psychology comes with the Beeb. Beeb's learned from his mistakes in life.
Recognize the problem though, B, but we'll get to that.
So Wilder has
a lot of experience in life.
So
a lot of years.
Wilder had a problem in that fight. And he wasn't able to identify the cause of that problem because he's saying it was from things that are just unbelievable. So if you don't know where the problem, or you're not accepting where the problem stemmed from, and you're blaming everyone else but yourself, I have a hard time believing that that person is going to be able to correct the problem and change the problem if they don't realize the problem started with them. It's not what the other guy did in terms of cheating and all this other BS and the referee. If you're still talking about that stuff till this day, then I really have to question whether or not you really did fix anything. I see him hitting pads. I don't really see him doing anything differently. So, like I said, Fury does talk shit. He's lied to us before, pulled out of fights, but one thing he's never lied to us about. Every time he says he's going to show up to fight, he shows up to fight. Let's see if Wilder can do the same. I don't think that Malik Scott is going to be the guy to transform Deontay Wilder into this fighter we've never seen before, because I just don't think Wilder has it inside him. He is what he is. And people who are born round don't die square. And I think we're going to find that out next week.
All right. Sean, I want to know what you thought, man. Both guys had their virtual press conferences with the media. What did you take away from both guys? What stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, to Joe Habib's point, it feels like, Tyson Fury is, he's being real, blusterous and confident, and he's saying what he's going to do. He's going to beat him worse than before, and he's going to go right at him. He's going to be real aggressive, and I do believe that. And there's nothing to show that, that won't be successful. And he has shown that he can fight in different styles and have success against, the fighter he's going to face next week. So I think that, Tyson Fury's in a good place. He's feeling good, and he feels ultra confident as he should. I think to Joe Habib's point, I'm right there with him. If you can't accept the fact and you're still in denial, are you truly fixing the things that need to be corrected? And, a lot of things that need to be corrected is, style and technique. And at the end of the day, either you change or you are what you are. And I think Deontay Wilder is what he is. What you see is what you get. And I think, yeah, he's working the pads, and, they may have a different strategy and a different hope. But, I think ultimately it's going to, bear the same fruit. And I don't really think there's going to be any changes, because they'll say one thing, but I think ultimately they're hoping to land that big right hand. And I'm expecting more of a beating than the last fight.
Well said. Maestro is chomping at the bit right now. I can just see that look. I know that look on that face right there. He's ready to roll. So let me know what you got on your mind, Maestro.
Well, number one, Wakanda forever. Okay. It's it is what it is. As a black man, we don't have much of a storied history.
I don't know what that means.
We know we didn't have the great empires in Africa, whether it was the Nubians or the ancient Egyptians or, the various leaders of the great African continent, even more recently, Mandela, Patrice Lumumba, and many others. Nor in the diaspora do we have people like Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey or the great Martin Luther King Jr. that we can turn to. So as a black man, granted of Caribbean descent, not African American, I have to turn to my king, Deontay Wilder, Wakanda forever.
I'm going to be black for this segment. I'm feeling it.
To set the record straight, to, end white privilege, put us all on his back, and knock out this white Eurobum disgrace from England named Tyson Fury. Now, Joe says that Deontay hasn't learned from his mistakes. Well, he has learned from his mistakes. In the first fight, it was a fast count. Sorry, it was a slow count by Jack Reese. We're never returning to that state again, and we're never going to have Jack Reese referee one of our fights. Turn to the second fight. The Wakanda suit was too heavy. My disloyal or his disloyal black trainer spiked his water, right? Was allied to the Kronk gym. Somehow the Las Vegas Commission got those egg weights into the glove and put a dent into the head of my king. And if that wasn't enough, it was all just shoveled under the rug by the white man. Deontay's faced more oppression than even the great Muhammad Ali, and is probably a better boxer than him. What am I saying? Probably. He is a better boxer than him. So, Joe, I don't know what you're talking about. This white Euro bum from England is about to get knocked the hell out, probably in the first round. We have learned from our mistakes. We're never allowing the cheating to take place again with the gloves, right? He's not going to be wearing the Wakanda suit, which he was using to represent Black History Month and to represent for all of my people. And, granted, on October the 9th, we will achieve greatness again. Our great king, Deontay Wilder, will return to his rightful place on the Wakanda throne. And having said all that, I'm going to pass it over to my brother D-Style, who's an honorary member of the
the
Wilder fanboying club. Apparently, he thinks also that the Wakanda lightning bolt in Wilder's right hand is going to destroy Fury, and it is what it is. So, Joe, I don't know what you're talking about. I've laid out all of the mistakes of the first two fights, and it is what it is. My king is going to return to his throne.
Yo,
that might have been the best heel turn I've seen since Hulk Hogan turned heel and went to the NWO. That was unbelievable.
I did it for the money, brother.
These fans can stick it, brother. Go ahead, D-Style. Go ahead, man.
So first of all, I want to give a shout out to Puro Sur Central. Like, I saw you on the last show and I forgot to give a shout out. I just want to give a shout out. You know what I mean? Shout out to you. Check it out. First of all, quick question to Maestro. Quick question. So I get the excuse and all that. I get all that, but let's say it was to be like Black Panther, right? The suit. What's the difference between that and Tyson Fury dressing up as Batman, okay, with tighties on? You don't even got the body for it, okay? First of all, okay, at the Klitschko press conference, what's the difference?
Well, I mean, in the one case, the suit affected our performance, and we lost the fight. I mean, Klitschko lost to Tyson Fury in that one, so I don't really see what the comparison is, D-Style. The Wakanda suit, all 40 pounds of it, weighed us down. Our legs were funny going into the fight. It was probably, to be fair, only 20% Wakanda suit, 80% this disloyal black trainer spiked his water. So I will give you that.
So I want to kind of start with this, okay? So let me first answer the question, which is what I think about the virtual press conferences. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got, okay? Because Deontay Wilder did not want to do another press conference, okay? He wanted to do one press conference, and he took no questions, and he wanted to listen to like Three Little Birds, you know, told me I got nothing to worry about, all that good stuff, okay? That's just the truth, all right? So we should have gotten another press conference to help sell this fight, to help, get people's, interest in the fight up. Can we get some type of back and forth? We couldn't even get a virtual back and forth with these two guys. We couldn't get them both on a Zoom call, even that. It had to be separate. And make no mistake about it, the fact that we didn't get it together is because of Deontay Wilder. Okay.
Well,
So that hold on, man. So you already went. You went on your Wakanda rant. So it is what it. I know I made a great point you wanted to add to it, but too bad you lost your turn. Okay. So look, and then, but I will say this, right? So Big Dog Willie, if you're looking for a panel that kisses Wilder's ass and subscribes to Glovegate, this is not the panel. We're not going to do that. I know you believe that's hating on Wilder, but that's not what it is. Okay? With that said, I do think Maestro does hate a little bit, though. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? He does hate on. You know what I mean? But
I'm biased in my opinion.
yeah, totally. But one more point. So here's my thing. The fight's gonna come anyway, right? Beeb said, this is what you said, Beeb, okay? I hate to do this to you. Every time he said he was gonna go fight somebody, he did it. Isn't that what he said? How he was gonna fight? He said he was gonna go show up at the Klitschko rematch, and he never showed up. It didn't happen. Okay?
When he enters that ring, it's magic.
So knock on
When he
wood.
enters that ring, it's magic.
Knock on wood. I hope he actually shows up. I hope nothing happens.
Don't pray for him to slip. Don't pray for him to slip in the shower. It's not going to happen.
From here
I know you're
till
praying
the
for
fight,
that.
I hope nothing happens. I really do.
well, nothing's.
I know you want him to. I know you want him to get COVID for a second time. It's not going to happen. We got the.
No, I don't want him to get in there. I want him to get in the ring. I want the fight to happen. I want this chapter to end. Okay. And that's that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, Big Dog Wood says, "Is it these style? Where's the Fury critique?" I critique Fury. I just literally just finished critiquing him as you typed that. I was in the middle of critiquing the dude while you typed that. There's plenty of channel that will kiss, will pucker up for Deontay Wilder and kiss his ass, and will ban anybody who says something contrary. You're here. We don't censor people. You're allowed to give your opinion, right? But dude, every time, you're just hating on Wilder, hating on Wilder. Yeah, you're still here and you're allowed to give your opinion. All right? I don't see the same energy on the other side, Big Dog Willie. I'm just going to be honest with you right now. I don't see the same energy. I just don't. All right?
Well, I got a good news for Big Dog
that's all I got to say about that.
I
just finished critiquing. I critique Fury all the time. I don't want to be told I don't critique somebody when I'm in the middle of critiquing them.
But no one believes that guy. We believe you critique people. You don't have to prove anything to that guy. But how many?
All right, so that's what I'll say about that.
You're all set.
Right? Please show the same energy when people are getting banned and comments removed, and on the other side, please show the same energy. All right, or just pipe it down a little bit.
That's it.
That's all I got to say.
Go ahead.
No, I mean you're right. Joe, look, at the end of the day, there's a very pertinent point that I forgot to make. He's surrounded by some of the greatest leaders in the Black community. Deontay Wilder, that is. None other than Shelly Finkel, JD's. They're going to ensure that the white man does not get another win over our king, Deontay Wilder. I mean, when I'm thinking of the greatest Black leaders that this country has ever produced, I'm not thinking Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. Okay. I'm not thinking Paul Robeson. I'm thinking Shelly Finkel and JD's, and those two brothers, okay, have got our kings back. It's guaranteed. The white man is not getting it over us again. It's just not going to happen. Not with JD's and not with Shelly Finkel in our corner. It can't happen. It can't happen. So, by the way, I think Rachel Dolezal is in our corner too. So, we've got the strongest members of the black community backing us up on October the 9th. We good. The Gypsy King going down.
How many lineal title defenses does this guy got to make before people really give him his credit? He's defended the ring belt about 4 times already. He's made 7 lineal title defenses. I mean, what else is this guy got to do?
Yeah. They'll move the goalpost every time, man. And believe me, I got some badass fucking receipts on that. If anybody wants to try G-Funk. But I'm going to say this. Look, man, my reaction to the press conferences, I wish it was in person and not virtual. That's the one real main issue I had because
it wasn't even virtual at the same time. Like it's not even like this.
Separate, Yeah. I wanted to see that face-to-face interaction again. I wanted to see if Fury was going to come out dancing with his shirt off and his body jiggling all over the place. I wanted to see if Wilder was going to come out like a deaf mute and speak briefly and keep his headphones on and bob his head with the sunglasses. And I wanted to see if anything different was going to happen face to face this time. Fortunately, we didn't get a chance to see that. I'll say this as far as Fury goes, he seemed very confident to me. And for good reason, arguably beat him twice. We know he got the official win in the second fight. A lot of people felt like he should have won that first fight. He's confident for a reason, I think he's got this guy figured out. I do. As far as Wilder goes, he's saying pretty much a lot of the same things that he always says. I want to beat this guy's ass. I want my revenge and blood. He said that when he was asked about the glove gate, egg weight gate, spiked water gate, all that stuff. He said, I'm not going to the authorities. Like the guy asked him, you should have went to the authorities. Like, this is something that you could have really went to the police. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. I want mine in blood. While he's saying that, he's got this little smirk on his face. Like, I just don't, honestly, I just don't believe him. Not that he doesn't want to hurt Fury, but that everything that he said about Fury cheating, I think he doesn't believe that. And I'm predicting once this fight's over, he's going to come out and tell all the fans that was all for the show. That was all to promote the fight. That's what I think, man. Because at the end of the day, none of these guys on YouTube have produced any real proof. Wilder himself says he's going to bring out proof. So I guess all the proof that was supposedly out there now is not proof at all. Wilder's got the real proof, apparently. But I'm telling you right now, man, he's going to come out and he's going to say it was all for the show. And that's that, man. But we're getting warmed up here, man. We're getting warmed up because we're trying to get pumped up for this fight. But look, man, people out there, I know they're going to get sensitive about what we had to say here about Wilder because Wilder has some of the most sensitive fans out there. But I'm going to tell you like this. You guys want to call me a Wilder hater just because I don't believe his accusations? That's fine. But you know what? I picked him to win twice by knockout. And I was proven wrong by Tyson Fury. So I think it's time you guys just give Fury a little bit of credit for what he's done in there, okay? So that's really all I got to say, man. Anybody else want to add anything before we get to the last topic of the night?
Well, I will say this. If you're familiar with the game of Russian roulette, check it out, okay? I get that. Like, picture like a chamber of with 6 chambers and there's a bullet in there, okay? And when you fight a puncher, you kind of spin it and click, maybe the bullet comes out, maybe it doesn't. When a puncher hits you, he knocks you out, right? Now, Fury is such a good fighter and such a bad stylistic matchup for Wilder that it's more than 6 chambers, right? Maybe it's 30 of them. And in the first fight, throughout a 12-round course, he caught him twice and dropped him twice. And maybe, there won't be the bullet in that chamber again, right? What I will say, and I mean this very seriously, okay, is the following. He does have a shot in this fight. And the reason I say that was because I honestly believe this, that Deontay Wilder I think he had an off night. I don't think he was all there, especially after the knockdown. Hold on, you can respond right now.
His water was spiked.
After the knockdown, he was not the same. Okay. So, and we've seen a fighter already, right, that made some adjustments and was not hurt in the third round. Anthony Joshua and beat Andy Ruiz, right? So it's not impossible, right, for someone to make some adjustments. I don't think he saw the blitz coming in the second fight. Now he knows it's a possibility. So what I'm saying is, Wilder now knows what to prepare for. Whether it makes a difference or not in the end, I don't know. Okay, but he will give him a better challenge because of it. I am not the only person that said to themselves, yeah, Wilder didn't look right. I'm not. I know plenty of people who said this before the conspiracy that, Brilliant drugged him came out, okay? All right, so I don't think he was 100% for that fight. And he definitely wasn't nowhere near the same fighter after the third round. So all I'm saying is expect a tougher fight. That's all I'm saying. Expect a tougher fight and expect a real threat. Because you can make jokes about the right hand, right? Wilder's right hand is like Thor's hammer. It's worthy. And if he lands flush, he can hurt anybody. Now you could say, well, he's hit him before and nothing happened. Look, Marcus hit Pacquiao with a bunch of right hands. Many of them. For 4 fights. And he finally knocked him out, right? So there's going to be 3 fights against a legitimate puncher. Just all I'm saying is be ready for a tougher fight. That's all I'm saying.
Can I go now, D?
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
To go real quickly, go ahead,
look,
man.
I gotta say this. Like, first of all, D-Style, that's a ridiculous comparison. Thor's a white man, so there's no way that the Thor could be as strong as Deontay Wilder's right hand. That's number one. Number two,
I got nothing.
Number two,
the hammer's black.
I've watched Ringside Reporter long enough this past year to know that all of the protocols that are breached, our side has multiple members that are going to be making sure that every one of those things doesn't happen this time. So the glove tampering, we've got like 5 glove experts that are going to be overseeing the whole process. It's not going to happen. Okay. There's not going to be egg weights.
You can't throw yourself away from the right hand, Amilcar.
Horsehair is not going to be removed this time. I heard it on Joe Habib. Like, there are multiple ways that the fight went bad for Deontay Wilder last time that we recognized and won't allow to go bad this time. So number one,
we've already sent letters to the commission.
100%. Are disloyal.
We want 6 people. We want 6 people in that locker room the night of the fight watching the hand wrapping.
There's not going to be a disloyal.
That's funny, Amilcar. You know what? I have a feeling, Amilcar. I just have this feeling that if Wilder lands that bomb and knocks out Fury, I just have a feeling you're not going to be laughing much. I just have this feeling that's not going to be really funny.
I'm going to be praising my black king.
Let's let Sean get in here. He had something he wanted to add. Go ahead, Sean.
Go for it.
No. I mean, I know that it's all about getting this story over with, and this chapter of boxing, we're just ready to get past it, and I get it. And we got kings on both sides, black kings, gypsy kings. I get it, but we actually have a really good undercard too. I mean, I think this undercard is being really undersold. In fact, even the prelim card, you got a great matchup. Robeisy Ramirez, the Cuban sensation who beat Shakir Stevenson in the Olympics, versus Capu Gonzalez. Shout out to Capu Gonzalez. I mean, you got Berlanga on the undercard. I mean, the prelim undercard. Then you got all the heavyweights. You got Big Baby Gerard Anderson. So I'm hyped for the undercard. I mean, so I've been looking. That's my thing. I'm looking forward for this, the Battle of the Kings, of course, to move forward past this chapter of heavyweight boxing And then I'm really, really excited about the undercard. Like I really don't think they're getting enough love, so I just want to make sure to shout them out.
We're not
real quick.
We're not sure about Big Baby. He signed a white man. We're not sure.
Real quick.
We're not sure about him.
Really quick. So,
Suspect.
Look. Big Dog Willie is saying that I guess Maestro praises drug sheets, and here's what I want to say. Right, and shout out to Big Dog Willie. We just disagree a little bit here, but you know who else praised him? Wilder. In the first fight, Wilder gave him a big hug and a kiss in a cheek. He called him his brother. Okay, he told him, "Oh, this is the real champ. This is the real champion right here," and he praised the hell out of that drug cheat. That's what Deontay Wilder did.
You know what the great thing that they're gonna do? They're gonna do in this fight, G Funky.
What's
they're
that?
They're actually gonna record the hand wrapping. And they're gonna save the tape and they're gonna play it back in slow motion just to make sure.
We know
slow motion.
Slow
We're doing
motion
slow motion because we want to see if there's any microbes on the tape. There could be microscopic plaster of Paris on that tape. We're not having it this camp. This time we are not having it.
Yeah,
this stuff could be dipped in resin. It could be dipped in resin.
You know what though? Hey yo, it's cool to be a jester, guys. I get it. Okay, but it ain't gonna be fun. I have a feeling y'all's energy ain't gonna be the same at Wilder and Oxford do it.
Hey, all you got to do is dip your hands in. All you got to do is dip your hands in kerosene or something. Isn't that the claim there? And your hands are like stones, like rocks.
Wilder deserves his revenge after all the cheating. After all the cheating that went on in that last fight, Wilder deserves his revenge.
All right, guys, this is the 12th and final round of the roundtable. I thank all you guys for being here, watching us. Whether you agree, disagree, you can say whatever it is you want around here. We don't censor you guys. Here's the last topic I want to ask you guys about this. Sticking with the heavyweights, I'm going to ask the question, right? But I'm going to read something here. We seeing that Wilder's manager Shelly Finkel has come out and said no to an undisputed fight if they win, right? No to Usyk if they win. Now we're getting Todd DeBuff here from the president of Top Rank, saying that he believes that a fight with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua can still happen because of their avid fans. So it looks like, I don't know, it sounded like Usyk might be the guy who's left out in the cold. So I want to ask the panel here, are we ever going to get undisputed at heavyweight? Sean, I'm going to start with you, man.
You would think so based off the path we have in front of us, that it should be, pretty clear cut. But again, it is boxing. And as you stated, there are already some hurdles that are being presented in front of us, unfortunately. So, hopefully, I would like to say, I'm half man, half disappointment. But right now I'm going full disappointment. I don't think we're going to get it, man. I'll say we're not going to get it with these fighters. We're not going to get it with Fury, Wilder, and we're, the Black King. And we're not going to get it with, if they're going to have Usyk on the side. I mean, he has 3 of the belts, so there you go with your undisputed right there. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. I want it to happen. I want a lot of things, but I don't think the undisputed is going to happen. Not with those fighters. Unfortunately, boxing is going to be boxing again.
Boxing gonna box again. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Roadblocks are already being put up, before we could even get the winner of this fight. Joe B, what do you think, man? Will we ever get undisputed at heavyweight?
Undisputed is a sham. It's all BS. When you have Anthony Joshua after being asked a question and he said, well, wouldn't you want to see me versus Tyson Fury with or without the belts? Would you still watch it if it was for without the belts? So before it was all about undisputed. Eddie Hearn was saying, oh yeah, all AJ wants was undisputed. The same thing when Golovkin, was fighting. He wanted undisputed, but he was let titles get stripped from him and all this and that. They changed their tune quick, the fighters. I don't think undisputed is really important to most of these fighters. I think they say it when it's convenient. They use it as a marketing tool when it helps them out, and then when they don't need it anymore, then they throw it away. So Joshua realizes, regardless of who Joshua fights with or without the belts, he acknowledges and he realizes that people are going to come see him fight. So it was bizarre listening to him at the press conference when they asked him, would you still want to fight Fury? and without the belt? Would you go to a Fury fight? And he goes, yeah. Would you want to see me fight Fury? Would it matter to you if it was if I had the belt or not? So again, that just shows you how quickly and convenient and how opportunistic a lot of these fighters are. And to credit to them, if it's all about making money for them, and I don't really care about Undisputed anymore. I just don't. I don't think it's important because fighters don't care about it, and it's I care about having the great fights. I like great style matchups and great fights, and I like when it's for a title. But this whole Undisputed thing, I'm over it. I'm just over it.
Yeah, it's getting to that point, man, for sure. It's becoming so disappointing because it looked like it was going to happen, but we had things happen that blocked it. So, Maestro, what do you think, man? Will we ever see Undisputed at heavyweight? Will we ever get another Undisputed champion like your man Lennox Lewis? All right.
I don't know about my man Lennox Lewis. I mean, you quoted Mr. T'Chaka Finkel, as I call him, Brother Finkel, earlier. And whatever Brother Finkel says is obviously what I have to say, what I have to follow. I mean, the only person whose word is worth more in my books than Brother T'Chaka Finkel is Brother JD's. So I mean, you guys just got to let me know, man. I mean, whatever those guys have to say is what I believe. I mean, as far as AJ is concerned, I mean, he's been on the white man's plantation for too long. He doesn't know what he's talking about, Joe. He's been on that Eddie Hearn plantation. And matter of fact, he just signed that lifetime slave contract. At least that's what I heard on a number of these channels. So that I subscribe to. So guys, look, the king is gonna be back, and as soon as he whoops the Gypsy King's ass, or the Gypsy as we call him, because he's not a king in Wakanda land. He's going to be undisputed. So it is what it is. Shout out to Brother Finkel. Shout out to Brother D's. I look forward to getting back. I'm talking Black history
Brother
and all
Finkel
that good
and
stuff.
Brother D's. You gotta love it.
Sometime soon.
Big up to Brother Finkel.
D-style, man. I'm gonna pass it to you. What do you think, man?
How do you follow that? I don't even know how you follow this, but either way, I'm forced to follow this. You know what I mean? First of all, the 12th and final round, ladies and gentlemen, to check this out. Okay. Frank Warren, I actually briefly interviewed him on Nest with the Boxing Voice. I was on yesterday with them. And he's a promoter, I guess. Is he like a co-promoter of Fury or whatever he is, right? Over there in the UK. And he literally said, and you know what? I agree with this statement. He said, we can't think about Usyk right now. Okay? We have this fight with Wilder. Let us fight Wilder. And once we're done with that, because anything could happen in boxing, especially with the big guys, with the heavyweights, right? And then we'll talk, right? And I know people want this, they want this statement, like they want this commitment now, right? They're not going to give an open commitment to Usyk, because then that gives him leverage in negotiation to ask for more money, okay? They're not going to give him this open, like, oh yeah, we guarantee we're going to fight Usyk, because then you've opened your mouth, the public's expecting it, and when negotiations start, Usyk's team's going to be like, oh, well, we want 60%, all right? Or are you going to turn your back on what you said, right? So I actually understand as to why they don't want to commit to it now, okay? I want the fight. I hope it happens, all that good stuff, but I agree with Frank Warren. Let's have this fight happen first, Let's see what happens, because if Wilder knocks out Fury, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the first ever best out of 7 series in boxing. Okay, that's what we're going to get. We're going to have the best out of 7. Shout out to the Giants, in the spirit of baseball, right? If the slugger hits the home run, which has happened, Maestro should know all about that. With Derek Jeter hitting, those home runs in late games, and when nobody expected him to do it, right? And it forced another game and stuff like that. That might happen. So we may get a best out of 7 for all we know. We don't know what's going to happen.
Derek Jeter over the 200.
Also, why should they come? Well, look, why should they commit to Usyk if they already know Joshua's going to rematch Usyk? Like, they already know he's going to exercise his, more than likely, even though I don't think he should, or exercise the rematch clause. So at best, I hate to be the dude to tell everybody that Santa isn't real and the Easter Bunny's not real. Get ready for this one. Undisputed heavyweight is not going to happen next year, okay? I'm sorry, okay? I hate to be like Usyk beating Joshua threw a monkey wrench into this bitch, okay? They're going to have to rematch each other. And you know what's going to happen if Joshua wins? They're going to do a trilogy over there, okay? That's what's going to happen. So, and then we don't even know if Fury's even going to be around, okay? Like after this. He may go through a fucking binge after this. So that's all I got to say. One more thing. Completely unrelated, but I want to give a shout out to writer Josh Peter from USA Today Sports. Your article, my friend, was trash. You don't know anything about boxing. Please do me a favor. I will pay USA Today $4.99 for you to never write about boxing ever again. Okay, I will pay for that. You don't know about boxing, and the fact that people got to pay $4.99 to read your trash article. Okay, where you don't even know who the fuck, like really your articles about how Joshua choked and just go to do yourself a favor, go to Twitter, okay, put at Josh Al Peter 11, okay, and you tell me that dude should be talking shit about Anthony Joshua. Okay, that's all I got to say about that.
I'll say this, man, in closing, because we're getting ready to wrap this thing up. Look, man, fuck that rematch over there, all right? Usyk beat that ass. I don't want to see that shit again, okay? I'm keeping the same energy over here. When a fight ain't close, I ain't trying to see that shit again, all right? I want to see undisputed, okay? That's what I want to fucking see.
Tell him, G.
Okay?
Tell him.
And I'm going to tell you like this, man. Joshua, if he does win that rematch, he's going to run away from that third fight, just like he ran away from that third fight with my man Andy Ruiz, who knocked his ass out, okay? He didn't want that smoke again, all right? So I'm going to tell you like this, man. It's disappointing, man. I want to see that undisputed shit happen, man, especially at heavyweight. It's been too long. We need somebody to rule that division, to put boxing back where it needs to be, man.
Tell him, G.
We need one fucking king in the heavyweight division to rule over everything, all right?
That's right, G.
That's all I got to say, man.
That's right, G.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Maestro is doing overtime over on his channel. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. Make sure he's taking phone calls over there, guys. So anybody wants to call in and speak to Maestro and whoever else joins him over there, you can. But I want to give was it Esau? You got something?
Really quick. So next week, the roundtable will be back on Ringside Reporter. So make sure you guys are there next week on Ringside Reporter. We're gonna make Beeb host again. That's right. I'm gonna make him. All right. But with that said, I have volunteered him. But either way, so next week and then Roundtable 50, it will be in 2 weeks on my channel. Big milestone. It also happens to be the 1 year anniversary, because we did take like a 3-week hiatus or so, right? The 1 year anniversary of the Roundtable. I want to invite as many people that have been part of the Roundtable. I'll also be uploading the Ultimate Roundtable upload with the 7 best segments in the history of the Roundtable. So let us know below here in the comment section, in the chat. Email me at dstyleboxing. Let me know if you have contact with me directly. Let me know what are some of the best topics. I already have a couple, but a lot of the segments and all that. And that includes everybody here on the panel. Let me know what are some of your favorite segments ever, et cetera, et cetera. But that's all I want to say.
Sounds good, man. I want to give our guest here, Sean Gringo Hicks from Long Live Boxing. I want to give him an opportunity to give a closing statement and plug his channel as well. The floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's an honor to be here. Much respect to all the guys on the panel, and respect to everybody in the chat. I really enjoyed it. Always good to talk boxing. So longliveboxing.com, longliveboxing /podcast. You can pull up all our podcasts and all the we're on episode 99, and we focus a lot on obviously the big time fights, but a lot of emphasis on domestic and international prospects. Speaking of which, I know the WBC and Marcel Suleiman doesn't always make us happy and contradicts himself, but when he does something right, I just want to shout it out real quick. He's actually doing a tournament right now in Texas with a lot of prospects. They have a tournament, stage 2 tomorrow in Mesquite, Texas, the North Texas area. And really excited about that. It's for young men and women to get a chance that are young prospects that have winning, well, not necessarily winning records, but have an opportunity where they can actually fight for a WC, green belt, get their name out there, and they actually are showing it on the WBC, BC network. So it's a good way for them to kind of get their name out there, get exposure, and it's a positive thing, man. I mean, the way boxing is, not necessarily we want it to be, but if you're ever going to make change, it has to come through the grassroots level. And what better way than, supporting your local boxing scene. So thank you guys very much.
Anytime, man. You're welcome anytime to come over and join us on the roundtable. Joe Habib, any last words, man?
Well, you know what? Like they say, a leopard can't change his spots. That's all I got to say.
Short and sweet from our man Joe Habib at Ringside Reporter. Make sure you subscribe to Ringside Reporter. They're live every Monday. And next week, the roundtable will be there, and we will be giving our last-minute predictions. Any change of heart going into the heavyweight fight this weekend. Maestro, last words, man. And make sure you go over to Maestro after this. He's doing overtime.
I just want to give a big shout-out to Brother JD's and Brother Shelly Finkel. They're going to be doing our king proud. We're not going to allow these crab-in-the-bucket referees and disloyal trainers to get involved this time. It's going to be a spectacular, brutal KO. And don't forget, our king has promised to put a body on his record. Let's not forget that either. That might just happen next Saturday. So, it is what it is. Let's all check it out. We got to support the one and only Deontay Wilder, our Black King. And on that note, check us out on Overtime. I'm out. I'm going to go get it started right now.
There he is, the one and only Maestro of HCP right there. D-Style, I think he's gone ahead and pulled an Undertaker on us. He's disappeared into the darkness. All right. We don't know where he's at, but we want to thank him as well for coming on. And thank all of you guys for being here with us live. We appreciate it. Head over to Maestro's right now. And don't forget to subscribe to Long Live Boxing here on YouTube. We are out, guys. We'll see you on the next one.